Welcome to
Welcome
FoodBiz
to
Plus.
FoodBiz Plus.
All the work that's going on is a result of just the moment in time that we're in. We're in the process of beginning to reinvent how we grow, process, distribute, and consume our food. I guess from the broadest perspective, then I guess we can narrow some. When I look at food, I see probably the most inefficient of all great human systems. It is a fundamentally inefficient system. If you took what's happening in food and applied it, say, to the energy sector or some other sector, it wouldn't make sense. I mean, we're depleting the core elements of the basis of food, basically our soil and our water, at alarming rates. We waste, 40% of what we produce, and the outcomes are, you have a third of the population on track to have diabetes of our youngest generation. And it's the number one cause of preventable death and disease. So for me, that's, people see it as problems. I see it as just a wildly inefficient system. And so where are the opportunities? I see them across the board. I don't see actually one area that's not sort of under siege by sort of new ways of thinking about how we do this. So in agriculture, there's a lot of things playing out in this space. There's going to be a lot of land up for grab. So figuring out how to keep land in production is going to be a big area of need and opportunity. The average farmer is 59 years old. Next generation isn't doing much farming. So what happens there is going to be, critical to solving these challenges, but also some really big opportunities. And then all the way through supply chain, I think, how do we reinvent? I think restaurants are going to be reinvented, from on the far other end of the spectrum. And then I think you're going to see a lot of businesses being created out of some of the pretty disruptive things that are coming. So spectrometers, for example, one of the emerging technologies that I think are going to be just transformational. Imagine a future in 5 to 10 years where on your phone, it'll start happening sooner, but where it has a consumer application, probably, somewhere in the neighborhood of that, although we can debate on timing. Well, you'll be able to know in the grocery store how old a piece of fruit is, where it came from, what the nutrient content is, and eventually, like, how it's going to taste. So if you think about the disruption and transparency that will bring, huge opportunities for businesses to be created based on that kind of sort of intense transparency. I don't see a sort of an aspect that isn't up for grabs here.
Hmm.
Uh, I would look, so just there's a couple parts of that. I think the areas to look for are these sort of inflection points where so these some major forces are coming together. I think that one of the biggest is the intersection of food and health, and food is much more sort of in a medicine on a personalized basis. I think that's where all the innovation that's going to happen because of our deepening understanding of the biome is going to create a whole new world of understanding how food can affect our health in a much more prescriptive and personalized way. So, like, here are two sort of major sectors that are going to start to merge and create a lot of opportunity. I like that. I feel deeply confident. It is already starting to happen. It's going to accelerate. So finding these, we've taken a very reductionist approach over time. I think the companies and the people that can see where these pieces start to come together, where we're taking a more comprehensive approach, are gonna win out, and that are founding the businesses with the purpose of actually solving some of these big challenges that we face between climate and health. I would say stop reading critics. I would say one of the big things that plagues people who care about food is we listen too much to people whose job it is to criticize, who espouse these idyllic versions of how the world should be with no experience on actually doing anything, and set us an expectations for young entrepreneurs that are ridiculous and completely detached from the realities of what it means to start a business, to sell to a consumer that is pretty fickle, that is used to food in a certain kind of way. So I would say, like, try to put down those voices, which are the most prominent right now in food, to be quite honest with you, which I will add are critical to our awareness and attention to a lot of these issues. But now that we're moving into away from awareness and into, like, how do we actually execute on changing things, on starting new businesses. Being pragmatic is the most important quality. Doing what's right to create a successful business doesn't mean you throw away our ideals in the world that we're trying to create. But it's also saying it's okay that it's not going to be perfect. It's okay that the business that you're starting isn't this embodiment of all these perfect ideals, that everybody's eating flax seeds and fish oil and kale. It needs to work, and the most impactful businesses are the ones that are sustainable, and the only businesses that are sustainable are ones that are profitable, and that means it's an evolution. So know where we want to go, but be okay with starting from the reality of where the American consumer is. I think the other thing I'd say is that, for me, scale really matters. Um, Founding businesses with a vision to try to reach a lot of people, for me, is really important. Not just because, like, that's the business that's going to make, be more profitable, but really because if we're founding businesses that live in Berkeley and don't have an application outside of Berkeley or Brooklyn, where I am, I don't see the point. We want to reach people who need better food, and we need to reach farmers who want to grow better food. And so that's going to mean compromise. And so that approach has been missing, and I think it needs to. So it needs to be brought in how we execute. But then people, all the young entrepreneurs, you guys are the real leaders of the new food movement, and you got to start speaking about it and talking about it and writing about it, and expressing the realities of what we're up against, and sharing the solutions that you're developing and the compromises that are needed. Yeah, so I think there's two big pieces to that. One is kind of the authenticity question, and the other is sort of the intersection of technology and how, as people who care about food, we should think about it. And so to tackle them like this, I mean, on the sort of the fake meat and alternative protein space, I'm split right down the middle on how it's being done. As a chef, like, I want real food. Like, I don't want fake meat. I want either real meat, or I want to eat real vegetables, right? And if you don't want to eat meat, that's great. Just eat some carrots and broccoli, right? So I have that one side of me. On the other side of me, the value proposition that, say, Beyond Meat, Fossil Foods is bringing, and others, I get it 100% and really support it. I think actually the burger tastes quite good. I think it'll keep getting better. And I think it's a pragmatic approach to the fact that, Americans are going to eat hamburgers no matter what you say. And I love a good steak. I try to eat, not that many of them, but I will always love a good steak. And so the pragmatic approach is, let's try to sell it as an alternative to meat, that, an alternative to a burger. I get that. And I guess I'd say that there isn't a hardcore right or wrong right or wrong answer here. And we're still figuring this out. I mean, this is so new and emerging. I think we have to give ourselves the space to try out a bunch of things, to learn from each other, see what works, see what doesn't, and figure out how we want to position these new products. But I think Ripple is a great company, a great set of products. Um, you know, if it's a better tasting product that is more nutritious and has a much lighter impact on the environment, call it whatever you need to call it to make sure it sells. Like that seems to me to be what's most important. If it's really helping people and it's helping the environment, then let's figure out the right branding. And I think what Ripple's doing, I mean, Ripple's figured out the branding better than just about anybody in that space, and it's part of the reason why they're just a rocket ship right now. This is a totally different example of this, but I was just talking to some like 10-year-olds, and I was actually at the garden harvest, our final garden harvest at the White House last week. And I don't know how they all had phones, and I said, well, I don't know. I asked them, like, well, do you have a home phone? And they literally didn't know what I was talking about. Like, they didn't grasp the notion that you would have a phone in your house that was only in your house, right? So it's just a notion. It was so crazy. And they'd never heard of that, and they didn't even know what the word meant. And so, each generation is going to see these things very differently, and technology and expectations are going to change. So if you grew up with Ripple, that just is going to be milk. I think there's a bigger on the technology side, and our relationship to it. I think there's a lot of work we have to do, and in terms of, there's a deep anti-technology strain in sort of the better food, quote unquote, movement. And I get that, and I get why. And I think not all technology is to the benefit of people. And I think we need to have a vibrant conversation. But I think there's an instinctual aversion to technology and modifications, genetic modifications, however the process of their modification may be, which is a nuance that's important. That's a problem, and is a real barrier to real innovation. Yeah, and I think in terms of the VC piece, I mean, I think there was a lot of money that flowed in pretty quick over the last few years, and with expectations that were not in sync with reality of the food space. They're very software-based expectations, and I think there's a lot of stupid bets that were made, and a lot of those aren't going to pan out. And there's a correction that's already happening, but I also think there's a lot more smart money that's coming into the space, with people that actually understand food, have a real sense of it, have a different, return profile and timeline in their minds about what's reasonable. And I think we're balancing out in a way that's exciting, and where there's people now who are invested in the same. I'm a partner in the Acre Fund, which is a mission-driven fund trying to help change on around health, climate change, sustainability, and transparency. And so we're aligned in our interests very closely to the kinds of companies who are changing the system along those lines. Um, so I think that there's more people coming into the space like that. So I think that's an exciting kind of pivot, and hopefully will help create the ecosystem that young entrepreneurs need to really be successful, because they're not being pressured to do crazy things super fast and make sort of devastating mistakes. But I will say that as a young entrepreneur, the part that my perspective after working 6 years in the White House and getting a sense of, you're constantly navigating the culture. Politics is a deep reflection of our culture, and food is one of the ultimate expressions of who we are, who we're not, how we understand ourselves, how we relate to each other, and navigating where we are as a culture when it comes to food is super complicated, particularly from the government side. And we did as much as we possibly could that I think the culture allowed. I think and the politics allowed. I think the next wave of change is coming from young entrepreneurs And that change is going to inform our food culture itself. So the more successes that we have, the more space in the culture is going to be for businesses to push the lines and do more, and then for government to come along and help support it. So it's to say that it's to agree 100% with taking the long view. That not only are you creating a business to be successful now, but you're helping to evolve and change the culture, change expectations in the culture, change the values of what we see in the culture. And if done right, you're in conversation with your consumer, which will help you be more and more successful over time. And understanding that role, I think, is really important. Yeah, so I think, the way the one of the sort of the core insights that I've come away with from the various pieces of experience is that we focus so much on the what, like what's healthy or what's sustainable and all this like visionary stuff. And there's demand for that. Everybody says they want healthier food, but if you look at the gap between desire and actual action, it's massive. And the opportunity is in the how. It's not in the what. It's if you can actually help people live those values, live that desire just to eat a little healthier, not eat perfect, not eat healthy, but healthier, and really focus on making that easy for people and unlocking that potential that's there. Those are where I see the successful businesses are going to be anywhere in the supply chain. So really, I mean, like Sweetgreen's a great example. Like, why are they successful? Because a lot of people are trying to eat healthier, and they're making it really easy and really cool to do so. That's it. And it's a lifestyle that people can relate. They feel like they're expressing those values, and they're doing great because it's like convenient, it's tasty, and it's easy. And that's where I think huge opportunity really lies in the future, and it's exciting. And the businesses are the tools.
The timing is right.
Absolutely. And it's accelerating. Like the timing is right now, and still most consumers are, not the young, progressive consumers that really care about this, but young people who are increasingly taking over the consumer base are there. This is their issue, right? So I think the timing is going to get better and better I think we're going to see a real acceleration on all this, and then by the way, it's transforming how the big guys are doing business. They are absolutely in a panic because of they can't keep up, and that's a great thing. It creates a really powerful market dynamic that's going to drive change, from the little guys all the way up to the big guys. Well, I appreciate that. I think you actually said something there that's quite important, which is that there's momentum is one of the most powerful things to possess. It's the hardest thing to get. Certainly in politics, getting momentum and getting traction. Once you have it, everything is possible. And I think, this is where a lot of the big critics totally get it wrong. Like they're completely missing the boat. Is that we have so much momentum. We're kicking ass right now on every level. We've kicked ass in government. You're kicking ass in the private sector. Foundations are pouring money into these issues. The next generation really cares about this stuff and is pushing hard. Big companies are panicked. They're running. They're running as fast as they can to try to create healthier, cleaner, more sustainable products. There's so much momentum, and so I think part of the goal is to have the positioning and the attitude is we're coming, we're next. Like who's next? What's next? We're the next thing because this is the future. And so feeding the momentum is critical to create the conditions to continue to build your young businesses over time. And so it's a powerful moment right now to really value, but concentrate on being a force to accelerate the momentum and understand that dynamic that is going to be that's going to create opportunities that, even though I agree with you, Will, so many more today than ever before. And I agree. Thank you. I appreciate the comment. I think the First Lady's played a tremendous role in that. She's been an absolute force. But I think the future is it's going to get even better, if we do this right.
Well, on that note, that's an incredibly positive and uplifting way to end this conversation. Really appreciate you spending time with us and through business school. Hope you'll come back and
Oh,
really value that. So thanks again, Sam.
anytime. Thank you for all that you've done, and I got to be honest. I think the future is going to be led by the young entrepreneur. I think the next wave of change is coming from all the businesses that you're starting and the work that you guys are doing, and that's why I'm in the space, because I think that's where the impact's going to come. So I'm psyched about everything that's going on. I love that the fact that the food business school even exists is a testament to that, and it's awesome. And so, of course, I'll be back anytime you call on me.
All right. Thank you. Be well.
All right. Great to see you. All right. Talk to you soon.